It's been interesting. Glad we're back to in person. Thrown into the Zoom world.
We're going to have a deal with the working on that. I'll get with you. Mike Mueller.
Just to be in your illustrious presence makes my evening. Usually I go to bed at 7. Thank you very much for being together. Thank you. Thank you for showing
Do you have a new phone number?
You're going to bed.
Good to see you.
Teenager like yourself. I know, but it's what? Okay.
Time now is 7 o'clock. Before we call our meeting to order, I want to issue an apology on behalf of the township. We usually send an email blast out with our agenda, but we're having problems with our email server. And our IT company has been working on it, so we're trying to get that fixed. I do believe that some things did go out today, but we're still working on getting it fixed. We still did post it on our website. We still did post it on our door to fulfill the requirements of the Open Meetings Act. We do that as a courtesy, but once again, I apologize because it was unavailable, and we're working on getting it rectified for our next meeting. So I will call the meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Jennifer Eden. Here. Mike Cunningham.
Here.
Kurt Schultz.
Here.
Zach Tucker.
Here.
Herman Ferguson.
Here.
And David Walker's absent.
Do we have any agenda changes? I don't think so. So I entertain a motion.
So.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The agenda is approved. Next is approval of the consent agenda. The regular board meeting minutes from May 18th, 2021. The Board and Planning Commission joint meeting minutes from June 1st, 2021. Treasurer's report, May 31st, 2021. And the clerk's warrants and bills.
So moved. Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is communications. We have 5 items. Item number 1 is the Planning Commission meeting synopsis from June 8th, 2021. The Planning Commission approved meeting minutes January 12th, 2021. Planning Commission approved meeting minutes February 9, 2021. Planning Commission approved meeting minutes March 9th, 2021. And the Emergency Services Report, May 2021.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to receive and place communications 1 through 5 on file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next, unfinished business discussion of historic town hall. some things that have come to light. Some of the board members have come up with some thoughts regarding the old town hall. One of the things that was brought was that it's something that's being done in Heartland Township. Heartland had an old historical building, and they sold it to the Historical Society for $1. And the Historical Society maintains it, operates it, they open it up from time to time for people to look at it. And it was mentioned that, you know, that's something that we could do if we decided we could do that. We could sell it to the Historical Society and for $1 and let them, you know, figure out what they want to do with it and deal with it. As far as moving it, find a place to move it. The other option that came up, there was conversation with the current property owner of our previous hall, where the old town hall resides, and he said that he wouldn't mind if the township decided that they could keep it there. That way we don't have to worry about moving it, destroying it any further, have the high cost associated with it. He would be willing to open it up at least about 4 times a year for township functions, historical society functions. And he wanted to use it as a study hall for the youth group at the church. Those are just 2 options that have come to light since our last meeting. We can talk about them, see what you guys think. I know, Jennifer, you had the conversation with the landowner regarding the keeping it there. Did you have any other details you wanted to add to it?
He did say that he will keep it up, keep the building up, do all the upkeep, all the expenses. I do know it's going to need a new roof. The front and back steps have to be replaced. Not to mention, if we were to use it, all the electrical would have to be redone. But he said he's willing, he loves the building, he's been in the township, he has a business in the township. He
Resides in the township.
resides in the township, and he would like to keep it as is and open it up for the public, like you said.
Not to put you on the spot, but, so with the expenses that would be covered, I'm assuming are recurring maintenance, the bigger ticket
Yes.
things like the roofs and the stairs,
Yep.
he would not be willing to cover, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, any upkeep in the future, if it needs to be repainted, you know.
Well, in my opinion, that's not an option. I think it's our building, and I've talked to hundreds of citizens, and they want the building. They don't want it, if John Martin decides to sell that property, that building goes. We want to use it more than 4 times a year. Residents I've talked to want to use it more than 4 times a year. So it's not an option with me, and I'll let other people talk, but I say no.
What do they want to use it for?
They want to use it for Sandy, don't know her last name, wants to use it twice a month for quilting. Bob Murmas wants to use it for a car club. I've talked to other residents that want to use it a couple of times for card parties.
Have you been in it?
I've never had a chance to go in. And most citizens, well, how do you get in it? That's the question. How do you get in? That's the biggest question that residents have asked me. How do you get in it? They didn't even know they could get in.
Well, you took the first step by asking.
What's that?
You took the first step by asking.
Okay, I've asked you before, Mike. I've asked you. You said we could not go on there. We wanted to look at it. There were other people that were with me. Yes, you did, Mike.
I said we
Yes,
can
you
go
did.
down.
You said it's not our building. It's
Herman, I
trespassing.
said we can go down there and take a look at it.
Okay.
I asked for keys, Mike, and you told me you didn't have the keys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
That's not
Yes,
true.
you did, I was told.
That is not
Yes,
I
true.
do
you did
have
say
the keys, and I took somebody in there last
Then
week.
I said the
should've
clerk
called you,
had the
Marcy.
keys.
I should've
I'm
called
sorry, you are out of order. This
Okay.
is not time for you to speak. Thank you.
Well, Mike, I did ask Marcy for the keys, and she said that John had the keys. I asked you for the keys, Marcy. Did I ask you for the keys?
No.
I've never asked you for the keys. Mike, have I ever asked you for the keys?
You asked if we could go in it, and I said, yeah.
Did I ask you for keys?
No.
Yes,
You
I did.
not.
I asked both of these people. I'll have it on record. I asked both of these people for the keys. I did ask you.
Herman.
I asked you for the keys.
Herman, you are out of order.
Okay.
You asked me if we could go in it, I said yes.
Okay, so when can we go in?
I had a call from I had a gentleman come in last week. He wanted to know. if
Point
he
of
could go in.
order, we are
I
having
took him there.
a discussion on the town hall, and if you want to go in it, you can go in.
Okay, I'd like to
But
go
we
in.
have to get permission from the current owner. We
Okay.
can't just go on his property, running out anytime we want to.
I thought
It
there was
is-
an easement to it.
We still have to get permission. We're
Okay.
still on his property.
You still have a right to move it,
And
but
I
it's
said,
still.
take you in there. I'm happy to take you in there.
I'd love to go, and I'd like to have some people go with me from the historical side.
Well, that may be a problem
Why?
because you haven't been there. You don't know what the ramp is that's going up to the back door. It is rotted.
It's
there's-
not
It's
safe.
treacherous. And the front step is falling
I
apart.
climb
I
trees
will
all
not
day. I do
take-
more dangerous stuff than
I'm
go up a
not worried
ramp.
about you. You want to
Okay.
take people from the historical society in there. I'm not willing to take them in there. But if you want to go in there and you want to take photos, I'd be happy to
Okay.
take you in there.
What if they sign a waiver and want to look at it?
I'll take you in there
Okay.
first.
All right?
So of the maintenance that needs to be done to it, do we know, to get it to a point where people would be able to use it 4 times a year, the roof, does that need to be done before that could happen, the bigger ticket stuff?
Well, the front step and the back step, for sure.
Right.
We have to make it safe.
And there's mold in it. There is mold all over the front door. There's mold on the walls. It is not safe.
Whose job was it to maintain it? Whose job? I'm asking, whose job was it to maintain the building? The township. It was their property. They neglected it.
Correct.
Yeah.
It wasn't my job. It was, the people on the board were supposed to maintain our property. It wasn't taken care of.
We have been maintaining it.
You just said there's mold in it.
Well, what
And you
happened,
said there
Herman?
was goose poop and rabbit shit in there.
And I cleaned it up.
How did the rabbit and duck
Do you
poop
want
get
to know
in?
why the mold is in
That was
there?
before me, Herman.
It was.
Yes, it was before me, and I went in there and found it.
All right.
You know, your inflammatory nature is not.
Mine?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
We are trying to have a discussion here, and you're making an argument.
Right. Not right.
We were having a discussion, and that's exactly what you're
And
doing.
I asked you
You're
for
yelling,
keys. No,
you're
I'm not.
screaming at Marcy.
I'm not yet, no, I'm
So,
not. I'm not.
What I'm asking you to do is have an adult conversation about this. If you want to rejoin the board and have this conversation,
Sure.
okay, please do.
Well, I
Thank
think, you know,
you.
Mike, I asked for keys. I did. Twice.
Herman, we're past
Herman,
that.
we've already
No,
had that
we're not
discussion.
past it. I did ask for keys, and you said you didn't have them.
Herman, we've already said
Okay.
that you can go into the building, and we will take you over there.
Okay.
That's your
What do you
decision.
wanna do, just let that hall go?
That's all.
Is that what you
That's
wanna
their
do?
plan.
Just get
Sir,
rid of
sir, this is not time for public comment. The board is having a discussion on what we're gonna do. We haven't determined yet what we're gonna do. And
First
we
of all,
have
you took
still,
away our public
Scott
comment.
Dietrich, you're out of
You
order
took
too.
away our public comment, the first one.
Why can you not come?
We always had 2. I'm sorry, but you took away one of them. Hammer your gavel, I'm done.
Zach, were you done saying what you were saying?
Yeah, I think I got my main questions answered. I think there's good options. I like the idea of conveying it to the Historical Society or an entity that's willing to, you know, particularly when you've got these big ticket maintenance items. You know, I like the idea of conveying it and allowing them to take care of it, because I think that they would.
Right.
So.
Well, and the concern that I would have is if it stayed there, what's the end game? What if something happened to John Martin? If he did decide to sell, what would we do?
Well, in speaking with our attorneys, he said we could draw up papers that in the event he would to sell or something happened to him, or the church move somewhere else, then that would be, could be deeded back to Tyrone Township,
Across the street.
to the board.
Right.
I mean, he's willing, he stepped up and said, you know, I'm more than happy to keep the building and all the upkeep, all the expense, all the liability, the maintenance. If we were to move that anywhere and people want to use it, there are several high-ticketed items that would have to be done in order for that to happen. The wiring in there is awful. I think there was one plug that worked in the whole place. And the lighting is not good. I mean, all that would have to be changed. It does have a new furnace in it. But there's no air, none of the windows open.
These all could be fixed, every one of them.
Well, we're
Yes,
not-
yes,
Yep.
we could.
They can't.
And I would like to
With
move it
the-
on
It
our
just takes
property.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes money.
Yeah.
Does anybody know if the building is moved, does it have to be brought up to code?
Bill, can you answer that?
No, I don't think you have to bring it up to code to move it,
Okay,
but if you're gonna use it, yeah, you're gonna have to fix the things that are a problem. Both from just you don't want people using a bad building, but,
right,
you know, also dangerous, I mean,
right.
you've gotta fix all of those things. But I don't think there's anything that would require you, if you moved it and didn't occupy it, I don't think you'd have to bring it up to code at that point. So you could always move it and fix it over time, or
Because the
whatever you
wiring
wanna
is a
do.
big concern to me, that, you know, there's only one plug that works in it, for
Right.
example, and stuff, so.
Right.
What about the insurance too? Are we still,
It's insured.
right, but I mean, would we keep insuring it? Would we
Not
keep paying
if he took it over, no.
okay,
He would assume all liability of it and let the residents use it. He said once a quarter or more if, you know, the need arises. But, I
What
mean,
about bathrooms, Bill? If we moved it over here, obviously we have to upgrade the electrical, but it does not have plumbing, it does not have bathrooms. Herman says they want to have card parties and quilting in there. There's no bathrooms. Do they have to have bathrooms to be able to actually use them?
I don't think so. We'd have to verify that with the building department. If you really did decide to move it, that would be one of the things we'd have to look into. My approach to them would be, can we use porta johns, you know, because that's your other option. I don't think you're gonna wanna have people coming into Township Hall after hours for that kind of stuff. But, you know, you could probably use a porta john type approach if you needed to, at least temporarily. Again, it could be something where over time, maybe you do put a bathroom in there in the future, but you wouldn't need to right now.
But would that affect its historical designation? If
That I
you
don't
put
know.
a bathroom in there?
Again, another question we'd have to ask to see what we're allowed to do under that designation.
Due to the small footprint, I don't think a bathroom inside it would be suitable. It would have to be something added on with.
Right, we could add a little vestibule in the back or something at the back entrance and put a restroom in there and, you know, do something that way. Just be a one canner, so to speak, you know, be running out men's and women's, and just be one.
And not to get off the topic, I mean, we're talking about, you know, renting out this township hall too. And we could always redefine what type of events can be held here, because we do have a larger space. We have men's and women's restroom and a lot better parking lot
And a kitchenette.
and a kitchenette. So, maybe some of the people who want to do events, we can have a discussion on that when it gets to the new business. But, one of the things that, I was thinking about as well too, is that we were talking about putting out a township survey for master plan. Maybe we should include some, questions regarding moving the township hall. Do our residents want us to move it, pay for it? Do the residents want it moved but don't want to pay for it? They want a fundraising effort, you know? know it's gonna take a little time to get that put together, but, you know, we're always able to get extensions, it seems like, so.
I think that would help determine,
The
you know,
course of
what the
action.
residents would
Right.
like. I know it's never been our plan to do anything but preserve that building.
Right.
You know, we've never had any other idea to do anything with it but keep it in its state and fix it like you did the furnace and the floors and the painting.
Marcy helped me move it,
Right,
move this stuff out of there to the storage.
yeah, so.
Marcy got somebody to do the floors, and we got a painting contractor, and,
So we have preserved
mechanical
it.
work.
Yeah,
We put a new furnace in, and we put money into it. You know, I've always had a passion for that building, as you can tell, because it sat there as a junkyard until somebody became supervisor and went in there and started working on it. So, I think that, maybe sending that survey out might help clear up a lot of the discussion that we've had, and we go from there.
Do we know when it would go out?
Well, I mean, I can get to working on it, and, I mean, obviously, we wanna tie it in with our master plan.
Right.
Those things are resources too, and, you know, get one out per household and get scanned, and that way we know exactly how many go out, who's got it, and that it's a true survey, and we bring it back in and we count it. And whatever happens, happens, and we'll go from there.
Mike, could we also maybe get with some people and see if we can go, because a lot of people don't fill it out, is go door to door and talk to them? Just ask them the question?
Who's gonna do that?
I will. I'll do it. You know,
Are you gonna do that as a member of the township board or
a
as?
citizen? Yeah, not a board member, as a citizen. I couldn't do it as a board member.
I think, you know, putting the communication out there, letting people know that it's coming, however we can, is not a bad thing. And then when they get it, fill it out and send it in.
or drop it off.
Yeah. But verbal won't fly. They have to have that filled out.
Could they go on the website and fill out that also? No.
Or, you know what? We can do it that way. We can look at the website. Let's talk to our survey company. I just want to make sure there's some integrity in it. So that way, nobody can say, well, this happened or that happened, and I don't want to get into those for and those against. I want a fair survey. I want it out there, and we take it from there. And I think, you know, we've got options. We can include those options that we just discussed. We can just include options of moving it and us funding it. We can include options of moving it and taking private donations for it.
What I had, Mike, is some people, a guy's gonna donate bricks. I'm working on a Flint Police Memorial. So we're selling bricks with people's names on them for $100 a piece. We've sold quite a few of those, and I have a company that's gonna donate the bricks.
Cool.
So we could do that. I mean, it wouldn't cost us anything. They have pallets and pallets of
Sure.
bricks, you know, and they don't use them, and sometimes they're not mismatched, so when they have a broken pallet, we could take so many bricks, and they'll give them to us, and then we can have them engraved, and then find out the cost of that. But just different things that we could do to raise money.
That's good, but what if it comes back that the survey says they don't want to move it, it has to be on that property?
I mean, if enough
Then what are
people,
we gonna do with the bricks?
well, I mean, we won't sell, as far as selling,
Yeah,
well, you wait till after the survey,
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think we shouldn't do anything till after the survey.
right? See if enough people want it.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but, so, let's just move on. I think we've kind of uncovered unfinished business, and then we talk about opening up the, unless you want to say anything more about moving the old township hall. I think the survey is the way to go.
Yeah, just find out what the people want, yeah. You know, we get a good solid number of what they want,
And I'm fine with that.
yeah. Let the people speak. and say we did our part.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we tried to do before. We didn't actually send out a survey, but when we put it out there on the agenda, there was very little comment, you know? Now there's a little bit more, and that's okay. But let's do the survey, so. All right, so move on from discussion in the hall, move on to, do we need a motion to, we've already talked about doing a survey. Let's get the survey together and find out how we're gonna do it, and then we'll approve the language and the cost of the survey. Or we'll approve the cost of the survey, and then we'll probably have the language in the survey that we'll approve, and then we'll send it out. But at minimum, we will approve the cost of the survey. Because it's kind of budgeted, but we're expanding it a little bit, so we just want to make sure that we do that correctly. So we'll move on to new business, approval to rent out the Township Hall post-COVID. I know that we haven't been able to do that because of executive orders and health department orders and what have not. And it looks as of July 1, all the restrictions from COVID are coming off. We have traditionally rented this hall out for homeowners associations, and the Historical Society has used it. Birthdays and Christmas parties. And I think maybe there's a point in time where we have more discussion about what else we should rent it out. But I think the point here is to determine, are we going to start renting it out again? You know, this is the residence hall, and I don't have any objection to doing that. Unless anybody's that concerned about COVID and has objections to it.
Do we have an hourly rate on that?
We just have a flat rate, and it's more or less just to cover the cleaning costs and what have not. You know,
How much
we
is
take,
that?
what's it, $300?
And 150 is deposit, right? It's been so long.
Yeah.
I know, over a year.
So is there a deposit on it then, and then they net out?
Yeah, they put a $150 deposit and the $300 to rent it out.
Total.
Well, it's a total of $300, I'm sorry. And, yeah, we haven't had any issues with it. Everybody treats it pretty respectfully. You know, and that's why I think we could, you know, have discussion about doing other things here, other events here. And I'm, you know, take it from there. But I don't see any objections to it, so
No?
we'll go ahead and start using the Township Hall for rentals again.
I'll make a motion.
Support?
It's been motioned and supported to rent out the Township Hall post-COVID. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Miscellaneous business, we have none. So we'll move on to public marks. This time is for residents to voice their comments, their opinions or concerns on township-related issues. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Please understand this is not a Q&A session, and the board may not answer questions. You will be allowed one time to speak and one time to speak only. So those that would like to speak, please, I'll call on you, raise your hand, come up to the podium. That way we can get you recorded on the record. Scott?
Gotta get some taller chairs for your taller guys.
I made the same comment earlier.
All right. As a community, we don't want to have a war, and that's what it's becoming. Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. I'm not too impressed with the little statement that was put on our township website. And I think we should take that down. I don't think anybody was speaking for the township that I know of. This hall thing is good, but the survey's gotta be, you're gonna send out a survey, you got the master plan coming. Okay, so you broaden a little bit. We got 10 acres here, what are we gonna do with it? What's our plans for the future? Do we want to save the township hall? Fine. Do we want a community center here eventually? Do we want a park? Do we want this? You want to put all that in there? You know, but I think we need more than just township officials putting the questions together, get some of the residents, you know, it doesn't have to be me, you know, I give a lot of ideas anyway. Getting off the subject of the township hall, the road, we've lost our power twice this month. And we had, one wasn't even a storm, a tree came down, Don Pikes' whole property. The other day, Thursday, a tree came down again off Don's property, he owns what, half a mile road, he don't own it anymore. But we are constantly losing power because the trees falling on the power lines. You know, and I think it's ridiculous that we're paying people to do it when the road commission should be doing it, and the utility companies. The fire department came in the other day and just cut the tree up, pushed it over to the curb, put a bunch of red pylons there. They've been sitting there since last Thursday. At nighttime, I'm surprised somebody ain't plowed into the trees. There's no flashing lights. And I bet they're gonna charge us for a fire run. And they weren't there 10 minutes. So, this is stuff that we have to get taken care of in the township. Trees, we've gotta get these wires cleared. And they need to be all the way up. I they get done, there's still stuff hanging over the trees. I don't like the idea of leaving the township hall over there. I think it's just further, I feel like it was abandoned, I'm sorry, I just feel like the board abandoned it, I'm sorry, that's my feelings. And I just feel like that's another way of keeping abandonment. I think we need to own it, if the township people want to own it. I live with it, if the people decide we don't do a right survey, do a broad survey, let's find out what people want to do. And we got this master plan coming, let's get everybody involved, because the community really cares, I think. And this, you know how I feel about neighborhoods, I know my time's getting stretched here. We got a barn over here with another, we already have the issue over here on Foley Road, you shut down, and I had the issue with the one down by me, still going, but we got it under control. But we gotta stop putting these places like this in our residential area. I mean, a guy having a couple trucks in a business in his backyard and having a couple workers isn't that noisy. But when you're bringing in 200 people on a weekend, and you got neighbors on top of neighbors there, and maybe it's not that bad, but a quarter mile, you can hear all this noise, and it's still a residential area. That's why we got the zoning for this stuff out here on 23. So, I feel for the residents over there, because I know I'm living with it, with the traffic over there, and what I got to deal with what's in there now, across the street from my house. So I think nobody wants to kill each other here, but I think we want answers. Yeah, I'd like to have the public comment back, the first one, because there's issues coming up, like to voice our stuff before, so, and after. All right, talk to you.
Yes, sir, come on up.
My name's Chuck Hagan, we've lived here over 70 years. There's not a lot of other people that have been here longer than, like Herm, he's been here forever. But I want to see some of our history saved. It's too damned easy. People, it's old, get rid of it. I'm tired of hearing that. Keep something that belongs to us. If you have to invest a little money in it, you want a donation, I will gladly give some money to help do it. I don't have a problem with that. But a lot of us want to keep it. It's history. If you don't keep your history, you're going to be doing stupid things all over again. So keep the history that we have. How much has this township changed over the years? How much history is actually left? Not a lot. Can anybody mention how much history is left here? Anybody? You can't, can you? There's not a lot of history here. So why don't we keep what we do have? It's really just getting sick. And then I want to know what's going on with the house on corner of Carmer and Merrill there. That looks like hell. Grass and weeds and everything else is this. I've seen rodents crawling in and out of the back windows, raccoons. And come on, somebody's paying the tax on that.
Right.
Tell them to get
There's
their
a lot
butts
to
in
the
gear.
story. Would you give me a call tomorrow, and I would love to talk to you about it?
All right, because that's gotta be cleaned up. That's ridiculous. I mean, come on, they own it, take care of it. It's called blight.
Oh, yeah, we're aware.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous. It's just like basically saying, up yours, I own it, I'm gonna do as I damn well please. No, there's certain rules that everybody has to live by. Why should it drag everybody else's property values down? All right, take care.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Lois Spohr, and I came to tonight's meeting to encourage the efforts to preserve the town hall. I've lived in Tyrone Township for 40 years, but I've regarded myself as a newcomer since I was neither born nor raised here. Yet throughout those 4 decades, I've grown deep roots. I've raised a family here, walked countless miles along the dirt roads, biked many miles over the paved roads, paid my taxes consistently, and voted conscientiously year after year. I've also taught dozens of children in elementary school whose families live here. This past winter, I was away from home when the possibility of an asphalt plant caused significant concern in the community. Even long distance, it was amazing to see the number of people who spoke about how much it mattered that the plant not be built here. That situation caused so many of us to reflect on what the nature of the township means. We came to realize how unexpectedly that rural nature could be lost. Our community came together because of something that mattered to us. And now we have another opportunity to come together, to put our heads and put our hearts together for something else that matters. We can preserve the town hall, a unique and visible piece of our collective history. I don't regard myself as a newcomer to the township anymore. Now I see myself as a link to the past and to the generations whose voices have passed on and they're not here to speak aloud. I can do that for them because I can hear them. Can you? Do you hear them reminding us that what they built made the kind of lives that we enjoy here in Tyrone Township? Do you hear them telling us that people learn from the past to plan for the future? I feel compelled to be a link and bring their voices to the future and to those people who will live in a world of possibilities and also be able to honor their history. The town hall is more than a building. It is a symbol that signifies the foundation of this community. It gives the people of Tyrone another chance to reflect on the value of the nature of this community and our relationships with one another. In contrast to the asphalt plant, preserving the town hall gives us a chance to work together for something rather than against something. What we know, we do. Perhaps there was... Is that my time?
Yeah, but
I would
finish
like
up.
to speak for the people who don't have voices.
Yeah, I'm allowing you to finish up.
Okay. Perhaps there was a time when we did not know a way to safeguard the building. But now we know better, and we can do better. There are people who are ready, willing, and able to explore solutions and to tackle this project. And I'm here to urge my neighbors and to urge the township board to support their efforts. Working together will make a difference. Good relationships and notable achievements can create a strong community. It is within our sphere of influence to preserve history. And now's the time to do that.
Thank you. Yes, Linda? Mhm.
Good evening. My name is Linda McFarland. I am Vice President of the Tyrone Township Historical Society and a lifetime member of Tyrone Township. My ancestors, the Beckers, were one of the first settlers in Tyrone Township. I am here along with several other people to save the old township house. This building that we are trying to preserve was built in 1887 on Heartland Road, one of the main roads through our township. It was a gathering place for the people of the area. In 1967, after the newer township hall was built on Center Road, the township house was moved to Center Road to preserve the history of our township, and this was done by local residents like ourselves. And now we, as current residents, want this historic building moved to its newest location to the property of the current township hall on Runyon Lake Road. Our intent was to start this project over a year ago, but due to the pandemic, all was put on hold. Mr. John Martin had given us a time frame in order to complete the project, and that was not met due through no fault of the Historical Society, seeing as all necessary contracts for grants, etc., were either closed or not able to help us at that time due to short staffing. Our time is ticking away, we have lots to do, and time is of the essence. Mr. Martin has graciously extended the time frame for us to complete this project to November of 2022. We are very thankful for that. But now we are being stalled by the Township Board. A request was admitted to the Township to have the item of preservation put on the agenda for the June 15th board meeting. We received an email from Marcy Husted, Township Clerk, on Wednesday, June 19th, and it read, I quote, "We have received your request to put an item on our June 15th, 2021 Township Board agenda. We are not at that point in the process and will not be adding your request item to the agenda at that time," unquote. I did not understand what it meant by "we are not at that point in process." It is my understanding that Mike Cunningham, the Township Supervisor, determines what is put on the agenda. Again, what does it mean we are not at that point in the process? There are people in the township and people in the surrounding area that want this building moved and preserved and are asking, why isn't this project moving forward? The building has to be moved 8/10 of a mile from point A to point B. I think we need to proceed with this preservation of our township house and its history. And I use the word "we" and "our," meaning the Township Board and the citizens of Tyrone and surrounding area. I feel that we can all work together to complete this project. I am grateful that there was some discussion about the old Township Hall tonight. Let's move on with good intent. Thank you.
Sir.
My name is John Adams. I lived in Tyrone Township for over 30 years to enjoy the peaceful rural life and quietness of the township. I had previously lived in a more populated area where noise was more frequent than I preferred, so I moved to Tyrone Township to get away from the city type environment. I recently became aware that a special land use was submitted for a recreational facility at Linden and Center Road in section 19. They would have seasonal operation period covering March through October. My home on Linden Road in section 20 is directly across from the applicants who submitted the request for special land use. I also have a separate parcel of property which is directly across from the proposed recreational barn facility. At some point in time, this vacant parcel may have a home. The seasonal operation period is when many people open windows to enjoy the fresh country air. Noise transmitted from the proposed recreational barn facility is a major concern, along with my property valuation. What I thought would be my forever home, I moved here over 30 years ago to a peaceful quietness in the rural Tyrone Township, is now being threatened by a proposal of running a business with city-type venues in a rural area. I do not want any type of business located near my home, property, or neighborhood. I asked the Township Board to deny the recreational land land use request. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Randy Pierce. I'm here in support of saving the townhouse. I have taken the liberty to draw up a hold harmless agreement to allow myself or anybody else to go into the building to actually assess it. I think what we need is a proper assessment of really how much it's gonna cost before we go too far. Being able to do that is gonna be a key factor. We can just throw numbers at it from not being inside, but that's not gonna do us any good. So I had talked with Phil at one of the meetings previously, and talked with Herm about getting in there, actually doing a proper assessment, trying to get a feasible number, at which point in time then we can look at how we're gonna pay for that. We've got citizens here and different private groups and the township that can all add to that, so I'm gonna submit this if I may approach.
Sure.
And you can have your attorney look at it. It covers pretty much everybody's butt, and, or if you wanna modify it in some way, I would be happy to go in, help assess the proper, remodeling that needs to be done. We can also look at code issues and put a number to that that's accurate. And at that point, then we can see really where we're at and who's gonna, also if the historic department wants the building, I'll give them $1 to buy it. So, however this goes, I just wanna be a part of it and do what I can to promote the township and this particular project and more in the future, hopefully. That's all I got.
Anyone else?
Yeah, my name is Dean Haas. I live on Walnut Shores, Running Lake. I guess I'm a little disappointed because everything I've heard the board say so far about this hall is money, money, money. You know, and I think it's appalling that we're looking at a historical building and the basis of money. What's it gonna cost us? I think we need to look at it more from the aspect of what is it gonna gain us in our history. You know, we spent a ton of money on this building, and yeah, maybe we needed it. I don't know, because I wasn't involved. But I think the fact that we can't spend a few dollars more to preserve our history and bring our original Township Hall to the same location over the fact of money, which is a very small amount of money compared to what we paid for this. So I'd like you guys to look at it as another aspect of just how much it's gonna cost us, as to what does it really mean to this community. And if you're truly here to represent the community, that's what we need to look at also. Thank you.
I'd like to just comment, thank you for having the roads graded and chloride this spring. I spend a lot of time on those dirt roads, and it's nice to have them in good shape. I'm Margaret Melville, the lady that sent all 7 of the board members a letter dated June 5th about our old township hall. You know more about me now than you probably really need to know, because my letter explained a lot of history. What I do want you to know is that there are many, put my glasses on, I can see better.
It's helpful, isn't it? It works for me too.
Yeah, what I do want you to know is that there are many longtime residents of Tyrone Township who have ties to the old township hall and want it to be saved. In the last month, I spoke with many people, both residents of Tyrone and residents of the surrounding area, who cannot believe that the building would be left and not used, a building that's 187 years old. I realize this building has not been used in recent years other than for storage, but that does not mean it cannot be used in the future. As my letter pointed out, this townhouse belongs where residents do township business. As it has in past years, it may serve the residents of our community as a gathering place, a place to vote, a place where families can gather, clubs. You talked about that tonight, and you talked about the different uses that it has had. Celebrations, scouts could use it. There's lots of uses. And as a person who was on the township board at one time, I know that part of the problem with not having the building used is for the boards have to make decisions on who's going to use it and who is not going to use it, and how it's going to be used. And by, sometimes the easiest thing to do is to just close the door and let it sit. Then you don't have to deal with the problems of the use of the building. But the building should be used. To the best of my knowledge, and I'm learning tonight that it's not necessarily true, I believe this was a sound structure. It was built to last. If it has not been used by the residents, it is because township boards have not made it available. Give the Historical Society and all residents a chance to use the building. Make the residents proud of who we are, and may they know our township board did the right thing. Save the 187-year-old building as the communities around us are doing. This is the only historic landmark we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Elaine Schilling. I live on Elcoy Drive. I want to bring the historic hall to this township location also. We live in a community that takes pride in its heritage and its past. That historic hall is a symbol of who we are as a community. It reminds us of the early settlers of this community who lived humble and faith-filled lives. People who made sacrifices to make this community what it is today. Our town hall has a wealth of memories encased in its walls. It's not just a building. It was used for town meetings and elections. It was the hub of the community where people could sit around the wood stove and chat with their neighbors. It's a symbol of who we are. It does not belong to some church parking lot. It belongs to the people of this township. It belongs here on Runyon Lake Road, where the center of our township should be. I realize that the old hall was not used in recent years. It was used to store unusable things. But let's make it a place where people can meet and gather. Let's make it a place where we can remember the courage, the commitment, and the dedication of the people of this township. I thought it was important to have a better and more efficient township hall, and I'm happy that you found this place for our new township hall. It's a lovely building and has lots of potential, but it's time to bring the old town hall to rest beside this new township hall. It's time to draw the community together again and celebrate the people who helped Tyrone Township be what it is today. I'm not a member of the Residents for Community Preservation, but I'm grateful for the work and the efforts and the encouragement that this group is making to communicate with this board. I would hope that you would make an effort to work very closely with them. We can help you. We don't want you to do all of it. I would like to apologize to that group, the Residents for Community Preservation, for the notice that was published on our township website this last week. I hope that everyone realizes that a notice like that does not reflect the feelings of the residents of this township. We want to see this board accept the enthusiasm of that group and work together with them so that we can bring the old historic hall here to Runyon Lake Road. It's a part of who we are. Make us proud as residents of a community that can work together. We want our history and our spirit to shine to everyone around us. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, John Fialka, Lakeshore Drive, Runyon Lake. Been a resident of Tyrone Township since 1968. I just have to echo and thank everyone for their passion for trying to save the town hall. Appreciate it. And just disappointed and saddened by the divisiveness of that statement that was put on the website. And then my final question is M2 zoning on the land. Has there been a decision made on that yet?
Not yet.
Will there be?
Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, sir.
David Dixner, lived here in Tyrone Township since 1974. And I just wanted to say, in listening to the people here, that this is an opportunity to galvanize. You know, coming out of really a generational pandemic, and usually I'm a little bit more of a quiet fellow and keep things to my heart, but rather than look at, and this is the first time I've been to this meeting of sorts, long time, so please forgive me, but I see a lot of positive energy here, and I see with that energy an opportunity. We're looking at building a brand new house here in Tyrone Township, which will then preserve to my son and his family. And if we were to go ahead and not take a look at opportunities for preserving history, what does that say to him? So I just want to say that I'm feeling a lot of positive energy here, and the board needs to recognize that. And also, to the point that Herman mentioned, is that I'm also president of the Fenton Rotary Club. And we are out of place from our home base during the winter months. Now, I was not aware that the township old preserve building needs to be up to date and plumbing and whatnot, because that is very important to what we need to be able to have a meeting. But I know that fellow Rotarians, I think we have 5 or 6 members that live in Tyrone Township, that we would be glad to bring a meeting to be supportive of that hall. And so I just wanted to mention that there's a lot of positive energy here. Please hear this, and let's build on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Wes Nakagiri. I'm the County Commissioner for District 3. I represent Tyrone Township in Heartland Township. I live in Heartland Township. It's a little bit different topic, but I wanted to update the board here and citizens on an important appointment that we're in the process of considering on the Board of Commissioners. And that is, it's representative to the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks Board. I am somebody who's strongly opposed to the reappointing our current representative, because I have found out by looking at meeting minutes, by looking at the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks website, that they are teaching their employees and citizens and even children about critical race theory. There is a plan or a program that they had in place. It's called Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. It actually incorporates elements of critical race theory, specifically teaching people about white privilege, teaching people that there is institutional racism in America, which I interpret as America is a racist society. I even got an email from a Metro Parks employee that, not a quote, I'm just going by memory, but he was insulted. That's the word he used, insulted, that he was being accused of, he and his family and his ancestors, of all of the racial problems in America. And that's the type of, for my words, garbage that's being conveyed to Metro Parks employees and people that are attending programs there. I am strongly opposed to that ideology, and I have fought vigorously against the reappointment of the incumbent. As of it is right now, he has not been reappointed. We are probably going to open up the process again for citizens, to reapply, so we're going to start the whole process over again, and which I think is a fair thing, but I'll still be opposing it. It is just shocking to me that in our community, Livingston County, that we have a governmental body, Metro Parks, that is promoting this ideology. It's atrocious. I'll oppose it with every fiber of my being, and I just wanted to update everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Sarah Dolman, Jersey, and then I'm fully crossing. I didn't prepare a fancy statement tonight, probably to your relief, but I do want to respond to a few things. I came hoping to hear your discussion and learn. One of the things that I want to point out is a sense of urgency, and I think a survey is a great idea to see what the community's interests really are. I wish it had been done 1.5 years ago, if I'm being honest, because now we're under a second contract, and from what it sounds like, that building is deteriorating as it sits there. I just keep catching this contradiction when the justification for not moving it when you moved here was that there was no interest and no one wanted to use the building. But now we're saying that the building's not even usable. So I'm just trying to understand if the building's usable, not usable, if people weren't using it because it wasn't in a condition that was usable. I don't even understand fully the time span that we're talking about. So that would be helpful to know. In my humble opinion, I'd say I prefer that it not be sold to a private party like John Martin and only available to the community 4 times a year. It belongs to the community, and we're here showing our interests. We're trying to convey our plans for how we'd like to use it, for how we'd like it to be a place for our community to gather and have an identity. I'm really struggling, if I'm being honest, to understand why we can't come and talk to the board in full about our ideas and our project proposal that I submitted almost 2 weeks ago. We've been told twice now that we can't be on the agenda. We also met with Bill, the engineer, who offered to help us put a budget, scope, and schedule together, and then was told not to. So I just want you all to know that from the start, we've been asking to collaborate, to have a seat at the table, to have a voice. I'm not sure why that's so difficult, but we're still here, and that's what we're asking for. We're asking for you to communicate with us, to work with us. If it's a financial thing, we can talk about a sustainability plan. We can talk about how to fundraise. We're not trying to put it on your shoulders. We're trying to help. Thank you.
My name is Dennis Owaki. I've lived in Tyrone for 26 years. And, I've been listening to this ranting and raving about this township hall. And I've looked at that sucker for I don't know how many years, I kind of like it. And maybe if we could get, if the citizens would be willing to pay, if they approve this in your survey, pay for the movement of the building, and then you get the citizens to cough up the bucks, okay? You make donations with it, whatever the heck it takes. Let's do it. Let's quit horsing around with this crap, okay? Why waste any more time? Just do the damn thing. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Ed Murray. I live on Germany Road in good old Clinton, Michigan. I'm in full support.
You do mean Tyrone Township, correct?
Fenton, Michigan. That's my address, Fenton, Michigan. I want to give my comment full support. I'm supporting this building, whatever it takes, as far as getting money, moving it, whatever. There's already been a certain amount of history lost in this area that people don't even know about, and they probably never will. I was lucky enough to meet an older gentleman, a neighbor of mine. I've known him for 30 years. We've come closer together. He's an artist, a bluegrass player for guitar. And he told me as a young guy, he worked at the Fenton Airport. I says, Fenton Airport, where's that at? He told me exactly where it was at, when it was around, how long he worked there. And the other thing was, I was lucky enough to get a print of original painting that he did for the horse-drawn school bus that was used in this area. Okay? He was hired by the family that still has what's left of this, painted the thing up, and also the story of the family that came from England, the 3 boys that were in that horse-drawn school bus. The driver's out of the school bus, the horses get spooked, and in the picture you see a potbelly stove in the wintertime to heat a horse-drawn school bus.
Oh.
And as the kids are piling out because of the horses spooked, the one young man hit his head, was unconscious for a while. But that same guy lived to be in his 80s and did a beautiful speech on the island in Fenton Lake when they used to have pioneer days, and told about how his family moved from the UK, landed in New York, made it to Detroit, and supposedly it was supposed to be a house in this area. Wasn't much of a house, and how they survived. Nobody knows this stuff. My neighbor is in his mid-80s, gave me the original 16-page handwritten document that this guy gave as a speech for the pioneer days. Hardly anybody even knows about this. So if we let this thing go, that means we're gonna lose another part of history. Nobody will ever know about it. Just like the little house down from my street used to be a German school. Well, who knows about that? It's all fading away. I hate to lose any more, and I hope we can all get together and support each other. I'm willing to even pick up a paintbrush, a saw, and help on that building. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You should point your neighbor to our website where you can get an application for the Historical Society. I'm sure they'd love to have him as a member.
I will, I'm a very handy person. I've semi-built both of my houses.
Yes, anyone else? Dave Domas, you raised your hand.
Wow. The last time I attended a meeting in here was down the street at the old place, and things have really changed. They've changed for the better.
Nice shoes, Dave.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, once you get to our age,
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God, that hurt.
well, listen, I've lived here since 1976, the year of the bicentennial, 40 years or so ago, longer than any woman in this room was alive. And some things have changed and other things remain the same. When I first moved here to Livingston County and to this township, our big issue was the landfill. Huge landfill to be located on Major Road and
Center.
what is it?
Center.
Center, Major.
Well, somebody, well, whatever, you know where it's at.
Harlan.
No, that's not your turn. But that was a paralyzing experience for everybody that lived in that area. Anytime you looked at a landfill, to think that something like that would be in your community, and you could look right out your living room window and see that thing, it really paralyzed people. And it wasn't until with the cooperation of township government, county government, and the citizens, who are the real government, got together, pulled together, and defeated that hideous thing that would have been right in our front yard. Now, I'm not suggesting you're dealing with anything like that here today. The asphalt plant was probably pretty close. Who wants one of those? But the point I want to make is that This is government. This is how it works. And whether you might not like some of the things that go on, that might be displeasing to you, on the other hand, there will be things that you really appreciate. The thing you should remember is that you and your elected officials are that government. So with that, I see I've only got 37 seconds, but thanks again for being here, for inviting me to be here this evening. God bless all of you.
Thank you. I think that's the shortest speech you've ever given, Dave. Anyone else? All right, being that there's none, we'll close public comment. We have no more business. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Support.
It's been motioned and supported to adjourn our meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting's adjourned.
On this side, when I come to the thing, I'll see it. Yes. After good work.